This little doe was born on March 25th. She's never had a trim, she's never been brushed, she's never had the blower used on her. So this is her wool, just completely natural as left, just left to grow. So she has a bit of matting behind her neck that we're gonna trim off today. And again, this is her first time trimming. The noise in the background is the dishwasher going right now because it's mid-morning. It's starting to get pretty warm out. She has been outside. So in this mat right away, I'll show you what's in it. So I'm just taking the tip of the scissors and using small cuts. We don't want to cut the skin. She does move around, that's okay. She's little, she's never had this before, never had a trim before. I'll show you, here's another starting to get more matted part. Once we get it off, you'll see what is going on with these mats. So behind the ears, the back of the neck here, this is very normal for any rabbit, whether they're a baby or not, to have matting. So it doesn't surprise me that there's matting here. It doesn't surprise me at all. There's a lot of movement whenever, a rabbit moves its head around a lot, and that's something that it just causes the wool to rub against itself. So when she's moving like this, I just reposition her. So we got one side off. We're coming up. Gotta keep these ears down. Coming up on the next one here. She's gonna actually need her whole coat off, and of the two available does, she's one of the available does that just I made available. She has the more Vienna marked coat. Okay, let's look at this. So this is the mat that was behind her neck. What we find in there, you can barely see, but this right here, this is hay sticking out. Here's another piece of hay. So there's quite a bit. Here's more hay. These little spots, this is all hay. There's a lot of hay in this mat. And when you see that, so naturally that's a section that gets matted. But then once you have hay like that, you get quite a bit of additional matting under there. So there's a mat that's not close to the skin. Coming up, there's a few of them. This one is a great example right here, and I can already tell that this mat has hay in it right here. So these aren't close to the skin at all. This isn't the coat itself just being problematic. This is the hay that's in the coat that is problematic, and there's a difference. So here we go. This is the mat I just trimmed out. You see this was all next to the skin. So this isn't matting down here. It was just matting at the tippity top where, as you see, there's hay. There's a bunch of hay in that mat. And that's just something that without brushing her, that's just gonna happen. But why don't I brush her? I think we've covered this before, but I'll cover it again. So when I'm growing the rabbits, I'm raising the rabbits, I'm working on this line of rabbits, I want the easiest to take care of rabbits. And so here's another mat. This was trimmed from the skin, and here is more hay in this mat as well. So you're really just noticing the hay is in the top part. This is a very small mat. It's not close to the skin. And this was just the tips matted up. I don't see any hay matted in this one, but it's quite stuck together. So we keep trimming. We just trim off all the mats, and we do this again because I want the easiest to manage rabbits, the easiest to manage wool, and to get a lot of wool, and to be able to have rabbits that survive in warm conditions, that survive in, with her moving like that, that's a little bit of a more difficult cut, but to survive in warm conditions, to survive in cold conditions. So rabbits that if you don't have air conditioning, your rabbit will still live. That's a lot to ask for in a rabbit. That means they cannot have as much wool as a German angora will have, but I still want a good wool to feed ratio. So here's the last of the biggest mats. I can feel and see, here's hay sticking out of this one. So this is another hay mat. And they're not, again, they're not close to the skin. She's not matting all the way down to the skin. It's just debris gets stuck on top of her, and it wiggles around behind her neck, which is a little difficult for rabbits to clean, and it gets stuck in her wool. So she has, let's feel this right here. She has good growth on the side of her cheeks. There's no matting underneath her chin. So underneath here, there's no matting, that's her chin. She has really just that main amount of matting was just this section on her neck. So I'm very pleased with the baby coat that does that. And she does certainly have a baby coat. She's a Vienna marked doe. Beautiful little lady. Especially amazing wool without brushing, without blowing. It is just a really easy to manage baby coat, and it's ready to be harvested. So being born March 25th and having this amount of wool growth, I can see crimp in this wool. This is a very good rabbit. What do I want to see? What do I want to see better in this rabbit? Well, I see, here's a teensy tiny mat. I see that she has a lot of wool growth right here on the top of her head. She's going to have quite a bit up on the tips of her ears. I would prefer for her, these are called furnishings, I would prefer for the side of her face, the top of her head, the ear furnishings, a little bit less furnishings. The furnishings in the summertime help the rabbit stay quite warm, unfortunately. The furnishings in the wintertime keep the rabbit warm. So they also can get into the rabbit's eyes. It can be difficult for the rabbit to see. This is just a bit too much. This can really kind of block vision. So I want a little bit, just a little bit less I want to see on her. As far as the crimp, it's okay. I could always want more crimp. As far as the thickness of this baby coat, you know, as a baby coat, they're gonna have their adult coats come in, and as we know based on the Angora Rabbit Project studies, the baby coat isn't necessarily a great indication of what it's gonna be as an adult. So let's flip her over. This is the first time she's being flipped over on her back, piece of hay. So she's just allowed to flip back over. We won't do this too much to her. We'll just allow her. That's enough. Very nice rabbit. So thank you guys for watching.